Well, hello there, Retro PC Durham. Chris here with another video. We've got another ThinkPad here. This is for Thinkcember, I guess I'm going to call it. I'm not going to be able to meet my commitment this year to do December content. Unfortunately, the December project I had in mind, I just didn't get it started in time, and I'm not going to be able to make the video. But I've got ThinkPad videos all month, so Thinkcember, I'm breaking the rule here. Here we have a ThinkPad that was actually a donation from Lydia in Oshawa, donated me a bunch of machines, but she also handed over a couple of laptops that she needed some work done on. And I said, yeah, you know what? I'll see what I can do to fix them and get them back to you. And this was one of them. This is a ThinkPad L512. So, first generation Core i series machines. You're familiar probably with the T410, the T510, right? So there was also an L series version for these, which was the L512 and the L412. So they're a little bit different. If you're not familiar with the different series of ThinkPads, at least from this time, you had the T, the L, and the E. So T series is like the top end business, corporate, enterprise type laptops, right? The best of breed, the true ThinkPad quality. E series is like the SMB laptops or maybe consumer grade laptops in the ThinkPad brand. So cut down feature set and upgradability, and still some of the reliability and durability. What the L series was designed to do was to take some of that cut down in terms of reliability and durability, but keep a lot of the mechanical functions in place that you had with the T series. So it was like a bridge in between. Now, how well that stands up today with the current series of ThinkPads between the Ts, the Ls, the Es, the Xs, and the X1s and the Ps, there's some variability there. But in this case, in this generation, for about 3 or 4 generations at least of Core i machines, that was the way things worked. Yeah, so this is an L512. I'll take a look at this. This is a 15-inch machine, so coming across the side, what you would expect to see in this generation of laptops, we have a DVD multi-burner, we've got a couple USB 2.0 ports, we've got a mechanical on-off switch for the Wi-Fi controller, we've got an SD card reader, and then we've got our old 20-volt barrel-style Lenovo plug. At the rear of the system, we've got a Kensington lock, we've got a powered USB 2 port, we have exhaust for our fan cooling, a second exhaust on this side as well, VGA out, DisplayPort out. We've got a, this is an eSATA and I think combo USB. Yeah, I think it does both. Port, gigabit Ethernet, and audio output, and then we've got an express card slot here as well for additional component expansion. If we look on the bottom of the system, you've got one large panel here which contains memory, hard drive, and CPU. First gen Core i, this is socketed. So supported CPUs on this system were Core i3 and i5. There's, I think, 5 different processors that were supported, but based on the power envelope on this, I'm pretty sure you could do any of the Gen 1 mobile processors in this, including the, I think it's like the 790QM was the top one. Those, I'm pretty sure they'll all work in here. And then the whole cooling assembly can be easily removed with the 4 screws around the CPU and 1 screw on the fan assembly. And the whole thing can come out and easy to clean and repaste, which I did do on this machine. In here would be where you would install your WWAN adapter if you had one, and then the SIM card slot holder would be here, and then you see here mechanical docking. So again, this is a cut down machine. It's not as durable. It doesn't have the carbon fiber. It's a plasticky case, right? But it's still got docking. It's still got a removable battery. It's still got Wi-Fi, WWAN capability, as well as the integrated Wi-Fi and Bluetooth that's on here. That's the type of stuff that you get in a corporate machine, right? So this was cut down for business purposes instead of being for SMB purposes. When we open up the system here, we'll see a nice open display here. We've got some buttons here for audio controls. We have a full size ThinkPad keyboard, so the same type of keyboard you would expect to see in like a T series of this day as well. Non-illuminated, right? Because this is before backlit keyboards were a thing, but it also does not have a think light on this, right? So again, some features cut down, no think light. Does have a, cheap 480p camera, but no think light. So some features there, some features not. Has a fingerprint reader, right? So there's some stuff, again, there's features that are available, but some that are not. So this machine has been cleaned up and ready to go, but it did have one problem, and that is power won't work. And the reason is there's a little PCB that's underneath this part of the wrist rest here, which controls these feature illuminators, the Think Vantage key and the power button. It's toast. I checked the ribbon cable, the cable that connects it to the system board, and it seems to be fine. It was a little loose and I taped it down, but it still doesn't work at all. You can buy a replacement one of these PCBs for about $15 on eBay, and it's not incredibly difficult to replace it. Like taking this thing apart, as most ThinkPads, is not too challenging. Yeah, but that presents a problem. However, in a lot of laptops, you can set a BIOS feature to do power on AC. So if you plug in your AC adapter, it'll power the system on. You can set power management features on this one to have it go to sleep whenever you close the lid or after 2 minutes or whatever it wants to be. And on ThinkPads, if you hit the function key and it's asleep, it'll bring it out of sleep mode. So that can kind of get away with bypassing. If you're not going to be away from power for too long and you just want to be able to have the system not always have to get this fixed right away, you can just get away with doing it that way. Have it go to sleep often when it's on battery. You can use the function key to get out of it, and then whenever you're near a power source, you can plug in to turn the system back on. So I'm going to example that actually by showing, and I'm going to give this, when I give this back to Lydia, I'm going to give her this as well. So I've got a whole bunch of old docks, mechanical docks for older ThinkPads that are around from a donation I got like 2 years ago that I've never really been able to get much use out of. So this dock here will work with this ThinkPad, even though it's not a T-series. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in my power into the dock. And this is a 4338, I think. Yeah, 4338, which you'll see in the back here has got 2 graphic outputs. You have a choice between doing DVI or DisplayPort. You can't do all 4, right? There's a little bit of you can kind of see a little bit of a split here. There's a little bit of a line, and this is, kind of graded, and then this is flat. So it's display 1, display 2. Take your pick, either way you want to do it. The pass-through for your gigabit Ethernet, 6 more USB ports, another eSATA port, and then a VGA out port. You can do the VGA and the dual out. So you could have a total of 3 outputs on this one. I'm pretty sure if you do 3 outputs on this dock, your graphics on the motherboard or the graphics on the LCD here aren't available. Like you can power these and this, but if you want to power this and these, you have to turn that one off. I don't think you can do all 4. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works on these ones. So battery, or sorry, AC. And then we're going to plug this in and it just snap down. And what you'll now see is the system may automatically boot. No? Well, that's okay, because one of the great things about having a docking station is you can use the power button from the dock to power your system up. So I didn't show you the other way, which was if I actually plug the AC power into the side here, it'll power the system on. That's how I was doing it when I was working on it. But now we got the dock here. You can just hit the power button on the dock and that works every time. So we're going to boot into Windows and I'll get hardware info up. We can take a look at the specific specifications that are on this particular L512. My phone's camera may be picking up the quiet gurgle of the 160 gigabyte Toshiba hard drive that's installed in this machine. The rest of the specs include, as I mentioned, that Arendelle Core i3 first gen processor. So this is a 390M, which is a 2-core 4-threaded running at 2.6 gigahertz max and I think 2.4 standard. So there was a 370M, I think, which was a 2.2 or 2.4 gigahertz, also quad with hyperthreading. And then there were 3 i5 models that were available that were all quad core non-hyperthreaded. As I mentioned, I'm pretty sure you you can do an i7 in this as well. That will run in this, that the power envelope is capable of working on this board. But obviously, because this again is a cut down machine in terms of functionality and features, they didn't sell it with all these options available because it was meant to be under a certain price point from Lenovo to buyers. Graphics card, you've got the integrated HD Intel graphics. There were options available for you to get this with a GPU model, which was an ATI. I can't remember the GPU that it came with, but it was only like 512 megabytes. So basically only to give you a little bit better discrete graphics capability, but not a heck of a lot else going on. Memory wise, it's got 4 gig installed. So I've got two 2 gig Samsung SODIMMs in here. It's 2 memory slots. You could get a total, I think, of 16 gig on this one, if I remember correctly on this chipset. So you could put 2 8 gig DDR3 SDRAMs DIMMs in here. And then you've got that 2.5 inch SATA slot that you could install an SSD in as well. I'm not sure now, again, on these boards, it's really cut down. So the board, when I opened it up and took a look inside, the spot where you could install the WLAN card wasn't soldered on. So I don't know if that connector was something that would accept like an mSATA hard drive as well for you to do upgrades. So your mileage may vary. If you find one of these out there in the used market and it's got that slot soldered in, there may be a possibility that you can do an mSATA SSD and then still have that 2.5 inch drive be available for a larger capacity SATA drive for storage. So take for that what you will. Screen wise, also important to note, while this is a 15.1 inch, I think, LCD screen, it is not a very high resolution. And this was the only screen option that was available for this machine. So we've got a screen resolution, as you can see here, of 1366 by 768. So not great. No 1080p or even 900p resolution on this. However, because again, these are cut down models and share a lot of the same hardware as a T series of the same equivalent, a T510 1080p screen, so the panel that you would buy for a T510 with this, should work in here as well. None of the other hardware inside in terms of the chipset or even the Intel HD graphics, those are shared across those as well. So there is the possibility for you to do a panel upgrade of this machine if you had one of these and wanted to get a better quality or resolution screen that's on here. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get Chrome up and running, and we're going to do a little streaming video test here. One of my channel supporters, Michael, sent me an email a while back requesting that around this time of year, perhaps we could do a switch. Instead of the usual crab rave test, try something a little bit more festive. So I've brought up Fireplace 4K, which is a YouTube channel. You can just look Fireplace 4K on YouTube. They are pretty big if you hadn't already heard of them. And they have great running videos here of very high resolution fireplace and other associated videos around this type of soothing environment. So we're going to do a 4K fireplace video here to do our crab rave instead of our crab rave test. It should still give us the same feeling in terms of being able to see in Stats for Nerds what the frame rates and stuff are going, but we have a little bit something different. The nice soothing crackle of the fire. And we can see on this screen, running a 1080p, we're dropping only a couple of frames near the beginning. Now, it's pre-buffered, so you shouldn't be dropping too many, but we're only dropping a couple here and there, which is okay, right? I think this is fine. Perhaps if you were to upgrade to a 1080p screen, that might clear that up a little bit because there's no conversion required. But I think overall, this is a really nice experience. Yeah, so I think Lydia's going to be really happy with this. I hope she is. And overall, a really fun ThinkPad to get to fix up and clean up and get ready for continuing its usefulness and its life. So that's my complete look at this Lenovo ThinkPad L512 laptop for Thinkcember. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and we'll catch you in the next one.